another trauma until I was 19 where I was raped. And so I still kind of include that in childhood trauma. So
It's been an interesting thing with this season of the podcast. It's like almost every woman that has sat down on this couch during this season have dealt with sexual trauma, sexual assault, rape.
yes.
It was a statistic.
What Brandy say? Or people didn't know any better. They didn't have the tools. I agree 100%. Also, I want to say this. This is going to sound bad when I say this, but
statistic that I read that was 1 in 5 women have dealt with sexual assault, and then now they said there's probably 1 in 3 or something like crazy.
So I'm gonna say this. This gonna sound bad when I say it, but I'm gonna say it. Y'all make sure y'all like the video and share it if y'all can, please. I'm trying to grow my channel. But I'm gonna say this. When dating someone, I think that should be like a number 3 date question. Like your third date before y'all have sex and all that. Like I think you should date somebody at least. You know, I'm gonna be real. You know, sometimes you want to have sex to see if you really like a person. I know us as men, we have to have sex to see if we like a person, a woman, right? But I think you should give it 3 dates, and on your third date, you should ask a woman, have you been sexually abused at any time in your life? Have you been raped? Have you been, fondled? Have you been, forcibly touched up the buttocks like Tupac was charged with? Have you been like viciously, ravished or raped? Have you had any of this happen? And women and men should ask this question. And the reason that I say this should be in our list of red flags. But I see a lot of people give people passes, and I understand that you want to have the idea they couldn't help what happened to them, right? And that's true. But some people never heal from those hurts. Some people never grow past those hurts. And have you healed from it? Let's see what Ashanti said. Ashanti said, if a man asked me, have I ever been assaulted, I would imagine that's a red flag if it's too soon. What you mean by that? It's a red flag if it's too soon. I need time to build. Hold on. I need time to build the trusting and vulnerability. So you don't think you can build that enough to say yay or nay if you've been sexually assaulted? How many dates do you think it would take you, Ashanti, before you can tell somebody, if that's happening? Right, Brandon. And are you healed from it? I agree. I think, like I said, when it comes to stuff like sexual assault, that should be a red flag. And I think you should run. I understand that people can't help if you were a child and that happened. I understand if you were walking down the street as a woman and a dude jumped out on you at Central Park, and did that, because that happens. Let's be real, that happens. And from my dating experience and listening to women and how many women have been touched, as a child or have some type of sexual assault is crazy, and what I feel bad for now is we have with the invention of the internet, we have so many women getting caught up in false accusations, like Tawana Bradley and the Duke lacrosse team. I'm gonna mention something like, it makes it bad that other women who experience this will have something taken for granted that they come forward with because of false accusations and allegations. You know what I'm saying? And that's the sad part about it. What Ashanti said. If I'm going to be exclusively romantically involved, not third date, and we are casually dating. So how as a dude, if I know that that's a red flag, am I supposed to continue to date you knowing that I could have found this out by the third date that you were sexually assaulted, and I know I need to get get away from you, because now I'm gonna feel as if I, 5-6 dates, excuse me, 5-6 dates, and I spent all of this money getting to know you. I'm gonna feel like I've got the short end of the stick. And I advise men not to sleep with women who've been sexually assaulted. Don't prey on women, because being sexually assaulted can go so many ways. It can go so many. You could be turned into a reclusive, where you're a shell, where you don't want to come out the house. You don't want to have nobody to touch you. Certain people can't touch you a certain type of way. There are triggers that happen when people touch you. You don't want to have sex anymore. Like, you're repulsed by the thought of sex or the interaction. When you try to build relationships and stuff with people and men and stuff like that, you're always worried about if they're doing something to you or they're causing harm to you, going to cause harm to you. Building that trust back up in men or women, whoever done it to you, can be difficult. Ask another woman on the third date. It's an automatic no for me. Get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. But let's continue this video.
Is it?
Absolutely.
What happened in that? Was it a boyfriend, a date rape situation, a relative, or what happened, if you don't mind sharing?
So I was 19. I was on summer from college, actually, and I was going out to a party that I didn't tell my mom about. I was, doing my own thing, and I went there, and I did have an ex-boyfriend there, and a couple other people, my family, my brothers were there, and their friends and things like that. And so we were all drinking, having a good time. I was downstairs, and one of the people there decided that they, seen.
So Brandy, I gotta ask you a question. How many dates, or how, I might be asking this wrong. How should a man approach what date should he ask a woman, and how should he approach that or ask that question to a woman if she's been sexually assaulted? What date should a man ask a woman if has she been sexually assaulted, and how should he approach and ask that question? Y'all let me know in the chat.
What they see me, and they wanted what they wanted, and so I was grabbed from behind. I was pushed down, and then there's that story of being raped, but everybody was upstairs, so they couldn't hear me downstairs, in the basement, screaming over the music and all of that. So
how'd you process that? Did you tell anybody?
I did not process it. And so I did not process it at all. I didn't tell anybody. In fact, then I didn't go home that night. I actually stayed in that. And
so so Brandon said he shouldn't ask until he's about to ask exclusively, right? If he's about to make her his exclusive lady. So then my question is, what if I say, I like you third date? Can we make this exclusive? And she says yes. Then is it appropriate to ask her, hey, before we go any further though, before I know that you're going to be my lady, can I ask you a personal question? Have you been sexually assaulted or raped? Okay, Brandy and Ashanti saying the same thing.
in the house with my abuser, right? Well, not like in the same place, but they were like upstairs, I stayed the night. I didn't tell my mom where I was at. And I actually lied to her and told her, hey, I was at my uncle's house with my aunt and my brothers. And so I never told her, and I never told anybody else. I actually held it for 5 years. And then I briefly mentioned it to Derek at one point because he was talking to someone at the time. And then it came up like in the conversation. I was like,
So I got a question for y'all. how does a man approach that question? That's what, even if I say, I want you to be my woman, my lady, we exclusive. How does a man approach the conversation that to ask a woman that? What wording should he use, and what should be the setting? Like, what's the setting should be? What should the mood be? If I'm gonna ask a woman, have you been sexually assaulted? What should this mood, like, how should I plan this out? Like, should it be over casual date, like a casual dinner, we out eating and I ask? Should it be, in the house on the couch and then I ask? Should it be over the phone? Like, how do you go about asking, and what wording should you use to ask a woman that, to make her feel like she's comfortable, so it won't come off invasive, so it won't come off insensitive, so it won't come off as if I'm judging her? You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of guys may run a girl off. It may run a girl off if I'm asking and it seems like I'm trying to pull teeth to get this information out of you, because I know some of this information can be so closely guarded and you don't want everybody in your business to know the struggles and the pains and the hurt that you've been through. And I understand that's why you said y'all women are saying that he needs to make sure he's want to exclusively date you as a woman. I understand that. Straightforward at that point. I think talking about intimacy and boundaries would be a good what is that? Transition.
I was raped and this just triggered that. And he was like, what? So he didn't even find out till 5 years.
Okay, let's see what Ashanti said. Ashanti said he should say, do you have anything you aren't interested in sexually? Has anyone crossed a boundary with you before? I think that'd be a good question to ask. But what if she says that and has been sexually assaulted but doesn't tell me that, let's say she says yes and then freezes up, or says yes and then plays it off like it's no big deal, because that could happen too. Sometimes people get traumatized sexually and don't know that they were like traumatized too, or they suppress it, or they make it not a big deal. And then the flip side of someone being sexually assaulted is they become very promiscuous, like something was taken from them, so they don't feel like they have anything to really hold on to, or their self-esteem and self-worth is very low.
And it was just brief conversation. And then I never really dealt with it. I never got that therapy or counseling. And I didn't get that until I was 30, which at that point was about 12 years after the experience. And
let's skip ahead. I think it was like 22 minutes, 20 something right here.
Official.
It would be a dang on commercial advertisement.
Anniversary for years. He had this big old heart and he had his shirt off and he was like, will you be my girl?
He had his shirt off?
Yes. He was fine too. I was like, yes, Dania, look at you. Everybody thought you were a nerd, but here you go.
That's what I'm about to say. What were people thinking? Here you were, this quiet little nerdy girl that you said that had pimples all over your face, but then you get the
doesn't match.
You get the sexy. What did he play football?
He did play football.
So you got the sexy jock. What was that about?
And this is the part I tell y'all. Some of y'all women don't know that y'all are prey. Y'all think that y'all have come up in life because you might have bagged you one. Because sometimes if you the quiet girl, and I've been guilty of this too. I've seen a girl and I can look like, I think we're more animalistic than we like to admit, right? So like they say, animals can smell fear. I think men can smell depression on women. Men can smell low self-esteem on women. Men can smell easy target on women, right? That bad as that may sound, that's true. Bad as that sound, that's true. Men can smell all of these things and know who to go after to make sure she's a easy target or he gets his rocks off. Not saying it's wrong, because you shouldn't prey on somebody like that, because that's predatory. But let's be real, the world is predatory. She said she had pimples on her face. She said she was a little chubby. She feel like she won because she got the jock, and she said he was fine, and he had a shirt